Hey, everybody, Corrections 101 here. Hope everybody's having a great day. So the last video that I did based on jails and prisons as a reaction video was based on the HM Manchester UK prison. Now, I had a lot of great feedback. I don't know a lot about the whole jail slash prison system in the UK. And so I really had a lot of welcomed comments, emails from our friends across the pond that straightened me out on a couple things. Before we get in today's going to be on the Wandsworth prison, which is in Wandsworth. Wandsworth, yeah, I guess it's southwest London. I guess you would consider it, like in the United States, a suburb of London. And it was built in 1851. One of the biggest comments that I had, because I always had watched the HM Marine Band, that performs regularly in the UK, and they are amazing, by the way. But I always knew HM as Her Majesty's, Her Majesty's Marine Corps Band, or Her Majesty's this. They made it really well known that, hey, we don't have a queen anymore. It's His Majesty's, you American idiot, which, hey, all in good fun. So noted, it's His Majesty's, not Her Majesty's. So thank you for correcting me, my friends there in the UK. But I'm really fascinated to learn more about the prison system in the UK. And I plan on kind of a series of these, just so that I can learn more about the prison system in the UK, and people here in the United States can learn more about the prison system over in the UK as well. Plus, it's really cool that, we can, see the differences between the prison system in the UK and the jail and prison system in the United States. And I know one of the comments that I had in my last video is, hey, you provide too much commentary. Just so the video. Well, to be transformative by law here in the United States, at least, it has to be substantial differences, substantial, changes to make it your own product. And so just a little commentary here and there, you can get copyright abuse or copyright infringement. We don't want to do that. Plus, I have a lot of thoughts on things, and I'm sorry if I speak too much sometimes, but, I want to point out my feelings and thoughts, and point out differences for people who want to learn more about stuff. I think those comments are kind of on the very low marginal side. I think people generally like, kind of a lot of some of the thoughts that I have, and wanting to pointing out differences and give my reaction to things. So, again, this one of the differences, just really quick before we get into the, it's a 2-series video by the BBC. It's only, I think the 2 videos combined to 10 minutes, so it shouldn't be a terribly long video today. One of the differences that I didn't know about until today is that there are not jails and prisons separated in the UK like there is here in the United States. Here in the United States, if you are held until trial, or you cannot make bail, then you are held in basically a county jail, typically, until the resolution of the case. Any sentences that you receive, from a plea agreement, or you are found guilty of typically a misdemeanor charge, which, has up to 364 days in jail, then you would serve out that term generally in county jail. Prisons in the United States are only for post-conviction, typically, to where you have a sentence of 365 days or more. So a year or more, as being incarcerated, you would go to a state prison, and typically not in a jail. There are nuances to different things, but generally speaking, that's the rule. But in the UK, I thought it was fascinating that there's only prisons. There's not jails, and that if you're remanded pending the resolution of the case, or you can't make bail, you are getting sent to a prison, and you will be in a prison until the resolution of the case. And then, after you're found guilty, or you take a plea agreement or something, then you would stay in prison to serve that prison term. So I thought that was really interesting as a kind of a big difference between the United States and the UK. But with that said, I enjoy all the comments. I enjoy all the emails. My UK friends over there, please send me emails to where maybe I get it wrong. Give me a better understanding of how your system works. The one thing too, and I touched on in this last video before we get in this video, going to get it started here. I was really interested to see how old these prisons are in the UK. They are old. They are dirty. I mean, we're used to jails and prisons here being somewhat dirty. I mean, they are correctional facilities, but damn, these ones in the UK, they are dirty as hell, and just nasty. I thought that was really interesting. But so let's get into this video. Enough bloviating for me. Let's get to it here. And by the way, I haven't watched these all the way through, both of them. I kind of jumped around a little bit, and I was like, yeah, this is going to be a good 2 video series to do on. But there, especially in the second video, there is kind of some disturbing stuff. It's not overly over the top stuff, but if you have a weak stomach, it's just a warning for everybody. Okay, let's get with it.
This is Wandsworth.
Yeah, and I had made a comment in the last video that I hated this the type of setup they have in these prisons, to where they have these tiers and long drops off in the middle. And what I didn't see in the last video that I did was that they have these nets there, to where if an officer gets thrown over a railing, or an inmate does, there are these nets to catch them. But you can tell there's a lot of understaffing, because these inmates are definitely just willy-nilly. I mean, they're treating these nets like a trampoline. Just doesn't seem like they have a lot of control over the facility.
The BBC has been given unprecedented access inside a British jail. Over 7 days, we saw the fear and violence.
Yeah, it's one person under restraint there. The wing looks secure.
You got to be able to defend yourself, innit? If you can't defend yourself, then you'll become a victim, innit?
The drugs feeding addiction inside. Is it easy to get cannabis?
It is. It's difficult at times.
And the prison officers pushed.
And just for the record, this documentary was from 2016, so this is 7 years ago. I don't know if Wandsworth has gotten any better since then. So just keep that in mind. This is 7 years ago. There could be substantial changes to make it better, or it could even be worse since then. But this is as of 2016.
To the very edge.
I think I'm probably the most stressed I've been in 24 years in this job.
Run!
It's the second alarm of the day. A prisoner has refused to go back to his cell.
Stop this! Take it in, free me, stop!
20 years ago, the inmate, in the middle of all of this, murdered a man in a fight. This is his 38th jail. We can't identify him, but he told us he was trapped in a cycle of violence.
I've had warfare with politics in jail. I got sliced down the side of the face. Been attacked by 15 people, 3 people. My arm broke. I've got 3 broken bones in my hand. I've had murders in here, left, right, and centre. And I've gone to him and said, look, at the end of the day, you're putting me in a predicament where I have no alternative but to utilise violence for my safety. And with the greatest respect, it's so short-staffed in here, this place can't run. It's unsafe. Even a lot of the staff that are in here are in fear.
Yeah, and we have the same problem here in the United States. We're so understaffed. It doesn't matter if it's state, federal prison, local county jails. We're very, very understaffed, and it makes it very, very unsafe, not only for officers, but also for inmates as well, which is unfortunate, because not only, as a corrections officer, your number one goal is for your brothers and sisters who are also correction officers. You want to keep them safe. That's number one. Number 2, you want to keep the inmates safe. I mean, it's not like we look at them as total animals. We want to, we genuinely want to can keep inmates safe as well. Luckily in my career, with about 5 years working in corrections, I've never had an inmate seriously injured or killed during one of my shifts. Thank God. Hopefully it stays that way. I just couldn't imagine where there was a major life-threatening injury or death with an inmate or another officer. That would be very, very tough to live with. So we don't want that. We don't want that on our shoulders. So we really do want to keep everybody safe.
That smell of cannabis is really the smell of cannabis. Next, B-Wing. And the smell of cannabis is everywhere.
It's overwhelming, especially up here.
And then we see it. A group smoking below us, in full view.
This is mad, like.
Yeah, this would never happen in the United States in jails or prisons. They wouldn't be so brazen to be out just in the open like this. Maybe they would go to a bathroom or shower to smoke some weed or something like that. But they're not going to be so brazen to be out in the open in the middle of a correctional facility in full view smoking marijuana. That just wouldn't happen in the United States.
Stops are hearing that as well, and just no one cares. Like, it's like there's no order. Like,
But how do you feel about people smoking cannabis down there?
not good.
And the
Because imagine they can't get it next week now. Then what? It's going to be fights and that. And the officers are just here. Like, obviously it's not myth in school.
Where can you get cannabis from around here?
Everyone.
It's easy to get.
If you want cannabis, I can get you some still.
You get me cannabis
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah. What was this?
How does that make you feel hearing that?
Well, obviously, it's not good, is it? It defeats everything that we're trying to do as a service. So you've got the cannabis there.
You don't have to look far to find drugs in Wandsworth.
I sleep here. My cellmate sleeps
Take
here.
Ashley. He's only just arrived. He says all drugs are available at all times.
You can get spice, you can get heroin, you can get crack, you can get anything you like.
Right
Anything from right now, all I've got to do is go down to the twos.
Okay, a couple things that I see here. Yeah, drugs, are they in jails and prisons here in the United States? Yes, but they're not so widely available like that, so easy to get. They just aren't. Also, the pinup girls are on the walls. That would not be allowed in jails and prisons. Just wouldn't happen. And it's just some minor, and it's just really weird seeing inmates in street clothes. I'm still getting used to that. That's definitely a different thing.
To the threes, to the ones, it's there. Everything's there. Anything you like.
Then there's the alcohol brewed
Yep.
in cells.
You got some hooch.
The spice, a synthetic legal high. These wraps are worth £8,000. And the mobile phones too.
Yeah, and the spice was wrapped like that with the cellophane and everything, so that way it could be keistered or it could be swallowed and then ejected out of the bowels once they were in prison. So that's why they were wrapped that way.
All smuggled into Wandsworth.
A smartphone, you 700 quid they go for retail price.
And who brings those phones in?
Officers, other prisoners.
This prisoner asked us not to show his face. He wanted to talk about corruption. Are you just saying that though?
No, of course I'm not
To get
saying
officers in
that.
trouble?
No, of course I'm not. I know officers that charge you, say £500 a parcel, the size of, say, 3 tennis balls, full of drugs, phones, whatever you want.
Life in prison.
Severe mental health.
The BBC was invited here to hear these stories, to see the pressure from a governor who's demanding change.
Corruption is the one thing that I absolutely cannot stand. One of the first things we would do with reform is to think very carefully about how do we deal with those issues of corruption and what do we do to tackle those staff bringing that drugs in, because that will deal with some of the issues that you've highlighted and that you've seen over the last week.
Yeah, and here in the United States, we also have a problem with certain officers bringing in contraband. It doesn't happen nearly as much as it sounds like it does in the UK. Sounds like the UK, at least at Wandsworth, has a big problem with it. In the United States, it doesn't happen much. It does happen. I know here in the United States, us, decent officers, us good officers, there's one thing that we hate more than anything. It's dirty officers. And so the penalties are pretty strict with bringing in contraband, as far as officers. Your career is going to be over and you're going to be serving time in prison for doing that. It's just not worth it from an officer side. But it still does happen on occasion. We take a ton of precautions to see that doesn't happen. And I can tell you one thing, if any good officer finds out that even catches wind that it might be a possibility that a certain officer is bringing in contraband, because let's face it, a lot of inmates can't keep their mouths shut, we definitely turn that in immediately to be investigated. There's a zero tolerance policy for that.
But how long will this prison reform take? The pressure inside is building now, and officers are getting hurt.
Because at the moment he's just been a victim of an assault.
My wife worries that I'm not going to come home. And if she could, she would have me out, out the job.
Wandsworth has been Andy Topping's life. For him, it cannot get any worse.
And it's because I care. I want to make a difference. I believe my staff want to make a difference. We're struggling. We haven't got the staff.
What's happening to your mental health?
I don't think people care. I don't think people care about what's happening to my mental health.
But what is happening to your mental health?
Yeah, and I feel for this officer, and it's the same way in the United States. I mean, to work in the conditions that we have to here, being so understaffed, is you still work in corrections if you truly do care about trying to make a difference and trying to, if you can just get to one inmate to be able to make a change of direction in his life, that's what you're in it for. But it's incredibly taxing on your mental health. It really is, being so short-staffed and under so much stress and pressure. And it does. I mean, especially here in the state of Illinois, they really don't care about officers. They don't care about officers' mental health. They really don't. It's very, very soft with inmates, and they make us cut a lot of corners that put a lot of us at risk all the time. And unfortunately, officers getting injured or possibly killed, it's just an acceptable risk to lawmakers and people that are soft on crime. And that's just, it's unfortunate. So I feel where this officer is coming from.
I think I'm probably the most stressed I've been in 24 years in this job.
What's going to happen to you?
If I'm like my colleagues, I'll retire and I'll die early.
Yeah.
Andy
That's
desperately needs reform now. This prison revolution, a promise to fix broken jails and so many broken lives.
All right, that's part one. Let's go ahead and get started with part two. I told you they were two short videos, so let's go ahead and get started with this second one here real quick. Let's get it pulled up. This one's a little bit more difficult to watch. Like I said, I skipped around a little bit, so I kind of know some of the stuff that's in it, but not all of it. So we'll learn it as we go here.
Life inside Wandsworth. Who cares for the men behind these doors?
All they say is, lack of staff, we can't let you out. It needs to change. We're human beings as well.
The self-harm and prisoners in crisis.
Need help. Yeah. Help.
Yeah, I kind of watched this. This is tough to watch, this inmate. Mental health is a big problem here in the United States too. It was a big problem when we just shut down mental health hospitals a couple decades ago. And now it's either jail or prison or they're dead, with the mental health, because there's no big treatment options to do it. And I believe that we can do it in such a way to where we can still care for the dignity of those who are mentally ill, but there's got to be a middle road between either they're just living homelessly on the streets or being in jail and prison, because in jail and prisons, as much as we care for these inmates and we want to do a good job, we're not psychologists, we're not psychotherapists, we're not mental health professionals. We're not. We have our degrees in law enforcement, criminal justice administration, whatever, it's more criminal justice. And even though you take some psychology courses and stuff like that, we're not mental health professionals. Okay. We do the best we can with the tools that we have, but unfortunately it's not enough. There has to be a greater emphasis on mental health here in the United States as well. Sounds like it's a big problem in the UK.
And the calls for change.
The system doesn't work. Nothing works as it should work.
For 7 days, the BBC was given rare access inside Wandsworth to reveal the reality of life in an overcrowded, understaffed jail. On B Wing, an inmate has been in a fight. He's in distress and has smashed up his cell.
This is my artwork.
Inside, we find Nathan.
There's also a very large gun there. Can you see that?
He's self-harmed and says his mental health is getting worse.
I've got personality disorder. I'm also signed off from the doctor for severe anxiety, and I only just received my medication yesterday.
Are you asking for help from people?
Yes, I am asking for help, but the service seems to be so slow.
And Nathan isn't alone. So many here are in crisis.
That's sad.
It's my house.
This inmate gets to me.
On our final day in Wandsworth, this man came to see us. Every inch of his body is...
I feel for this inmate. This is tough. But this is real stuff, and you know we got to take this kind of stuff head on. This is horrible. I really do feel for this inmate. It's just awful. You know, we have hearts too as officers, and seeing this it's upsetting and it's disturbing. I mean, no one should be in this much mental distress that they feel they have to self-harm like this. This is absolutely horrible.
Covered in cuts. Desperate. He speaks very little English. Are you getting mental health help?
Yeah. I just crazy. No sleeping every day. Sleeping. I can't.
And what about the illegal immigrant who's sewn his lips in protest at being held in a jail?
It's just horrible. Just absolutely horrible. Like I said, there was going to be some disturbing stuff in here, and you know, the thing is, we can't turn a blind eye on things. We gotta see these issues. And even though some of these people have done horrible things, or in the UK, you just have to be alleged to be doing some horrible things. You don't even have to be found guilty to be in this prison. Even though if they have done something terrible, they still deserve the dignity and respect that any inmate should. And this is highly upsetting. I have never seen something like this done here in the United States, as far as someone sewing their mouth shut. I have seen self-harm. And we take very aggressive steps once someone, you know, shows a tendency to self-harm to protect them from against themselves. But this is highly upsetting, to where someone has sewn their mouth shut. Very, very disturbing.
The amount of self-harm and self-inflicted deaths are on the increase.
For prison officers like Steve Johnson, the demand never stops.
What's the pressure like?
If you can't look after vulnerable people, all right, in a safe environment, all right, people will get hurt and people will die.
Do you think lives could be saved if there were more members of staff?
Definitely.
There are demands all over Wandsworth. Nearly half the inmates are foreign, and many can't speak English.
Are you from Romania? Romania.
So many Romanians,
I'm from Romania,
like Nikolai and Raduta. They say they've served their time but are waiting to be deported.
3 weeks ago, he finished my punishment. You know, let me go home.
Do you want to go back to Romania?
Yes, I want to go back. I don't want to come back here never. I'm from Romania, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah, and I don't understand what's the problem here. I mean, if he wants to go back to Romania and he's a illegal immigrant, why is he still stuck in prison? Why not just get him a one-way ticket on Romanian Air or whatever the service is, and just fly him back there? He wants to go back, so why are they wasting taxpayer dollars on keeping him there? I mean, I could see it if he's, you know, fighting extradition or fighting, you know, getting deported, but he wants to go back. So I don't understand. It's more of a stress on the correction system. It doesn't make sense.
Matter where you're from. Human rights are human rights.
Because I don't have hot water, no TV.
But not everyone wants to go home. This is Gear's cell.
There is very worse in this prison.
Unhappy with his room, but proud of his crimes.
What were you in for?
Pickpocketing. How much were you stealing a day?
2,000 or 3,000 per day.
£3,000 per day out of people's pockets?
Yeah. And I'm feeling proud of it.
You're proud of it?
Yeah, I'm gonna do it again.
What, here in the UK?
I might come here in UK as well. I don't know how, but I'm gonna try and come here again.
To pickpocket?
Yeah, because here you make a lot of money.
Astonishing stories, but the governor wanted to show life in a prison. Like this, officers wearing helmets to deliver a sandwich.
I think it's important for anybody that doesn't really understand prisons to understand the pressure that we're under and what reform can do for us.
Is that why you've let the cameras in, to see all of this?
Absolutely, yeah, because I think the public need to understand what prisons are about today, and they need to understand what reform will actually bring.
The ambition to fix our prisons, to end the waste of lives lost behind bars. Ed Thomas, BBC News, Wandsworth.
So just some closing thoughts on this. I really like the transparency that this governor and the administration did with Wandsworth prison here in southwest London. They want change. They're welcoming change. They're welcoming assistance and help for not only the safety of staff, but also safety for the inmates as well. And you have to get public sentiment on your side because, hey, it's not a popular thing to take. You have a finite amount of resources in tax revenues to be able to throw at everything you want to in society. And so it's kind of unpopular to say, hey, we want to sink 10% more funding into prisons instead of social welfare needs for single mothers or for the elderly and things like that. So I applaud this governor and the administration for putting this out there, having BBC coming in there for a week to be able to show the challenges that they have and the inhumane conditions that, at least in 2016, these officers and inmates were having to live and work in. Because it's not a popular position for a politician or for the government to come in and say, hey, we want to spend a ton more money in corrections. People are like, no, let those animals just be there. Well, they're real human people that still deserve dignity and respect and a certain amount of lifestyle to where they do have that dignity and respect. They don't have to have colored TVs, but the basic human needs as far as mental health counseling, prescription medications that they need, and to have a staff that is beefed up enough to where there's a lot less violence and a lot more safety for not only officers, but for inmates as well. But I enjoyed this video series. It's really kind of eye-opening. I didn't realize that UK prisons were this bad. They're old, they're outdated. The design flaws are just endless with these places. But I look forward to doing more videos on it. And those in the UK, tell me where I'm wrong. Tell me what I'm missing. Give me more feedback. I love it. I love learning about the whole UK system as far as corrections and the prison system. And I appreciate the feedback. We'll see you in the next video. Everybody stay good. This will probably be demonetized again. So there at the bottom, scrolling is my Cash App and PayPal if you want to support the channel. If you don't want to support the channel in that way, that's fine too. Just like, share, subscribe, hit the bell notification so that you know when a new video or live stream is coming out. And that PayPal email address, that is my email address for the channel. So if you want to give me any feedback or video suggestions or, hey, we want your opinion on this, shoot me an email. I love all the suggestions I can get. And hey, if I'm being an idiot and I have the wrong, like I said, with the whole HM thing, you know, Her Majesty's, now it's His Majesty's. Hey, you American idiot. This is what it really is. I enjoy that stuff. It's funny and I appreciate the feedback. See you guys in the next video. Love you all. Stay safe. Take care of each other. And I'll see you in the next video.